Hobbies are dead. Be honest with me. When was the last time you did something for fun? Literally for fun. I bet you didn't do something like that for a long time, and that's something that I want to talk about. When was the last time I did something for fun, for just creative exploration, for the play of it, for, just being like, oh, let's do something out of a blue without being like, oh, I have to post about it, I have to do something about it. It was a long time ago. And that inspired me to really start looking into this topic. How is it that we've ended up not having hobbies, not having playtime, not even the time itself, but the desire to play and explore without any sort of a ulterior motive, So let's dive into it. Let's get into it. Let's start with the annoying truth. A lot of people are like, "Oh, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for that." But the thing is, it's not about time. Because the thing is, 94% of Americans report that they do have time for leisure. And in fact, people spend about 5 hours a day on relaxing and doing things that are chill and are not in any way connected to your job or your responsibilities. So it's not the time that is the issue. It's the fact that what we do with our time is the issue. Majority of people today only, maybe watch TV, maybe they scroll social media, maybe they play or mostly watch sports, things of that nature. But if you think about it, none of it is creative exploration. None of it is a hobby. None of it is, really working your brain if you think about it, right? Because when you watch TV, you see something that was made by someone else. You didn't really create that. You didn't participate in that. Hopefully, it is inspiring in many ways that you will feel like, oh, yeah, I've watched something and I want to do something. Majority of people don't experience that, and that's unfortunate. And when we started looking a little bit deeper into this, I saw this interesting stat that says that majority of people, when they do choose to, relax and do nothing, they opt in for YouTube, they opt in for streaming, they opt in for something that was not made by the person, right? It was done by someone else. And people spend about 2.5 hours a day on that at least. Where in reality, we could have used all of that time to really explore ourselves, our brains, and our inspirations, and just do something for the sake of doing it, but not for the sake of promoting it or pushing it or whatever that may be. If you want to see what's actually disappearing, look at hobbies. They really are disappearing in so many ways. It's kind of frustrating. Like, when was the last time you saw someone being like, oh yeah, I paint just because I want to? Or when was the last time you saw someone say, oh, I collect something and study something just because I wanted to? Hell, reading in and of itself was, in 2003, about 23% of people were like, oh yeah, we read all the time or whatever. I think it was even more, like 28 or something percent. And it dropped so much so by like 2023, they report only 13 or so percent people read. So at least a 40% drop. 40% drop, that is crazy. I mean, let me be honest with you. I myself barely read because it's time consuming. There is no immediate sort of anything with it, right? If you look even deeper at all of this, you are gonna notice that these sharp declines, they're not happening evenly within the society. The most affected groups are lower income groups of people, because the thing is, for people who are overworked and they don't have enough on their table, like food or income, whatever that may be, people are less likely to be like, oh, I'm gonna go and paint something, or I'm gonna go read a book. For people with lower income, it's much more difficult to find time to really enjoy themselves and be like, yeah, I want to do something and explore myself and explore my interests and explore my identity. So that kind of leads me to the economic portion of it all, right? It's a much larger question, right? Like, what has killed hobbies? And the answer is very simple, it's money. Because the thing is, in today's world, we are so conditioned to hustle all the time. Like if you look at the hustle culture in 2010s, with the internet being really becoming an integral part of our society, you've noticed that so many people just started doing things for money. Like hell, all of these companies industrialized it, like Etsy and all those good things, right? They created this industrial complex in a way that allows you to monetize your hobby at all times. And it's not a bad thing to monetize what you can make. It's not a bad thing, If you're good at what you create, why not to have income from it, you know? But that creates a struggle because now a lot of people see hobbies and creative exploration as like, ooh, there's KPIs, there's like metrics to hit, there is these money to make, all those things. And that really dissolves the desire to just play and make mistakes, play and explore. There's another side of it, right? It's not like people are picking up side hustles because they're like, oh yeah, I have free time in my hands. It's because the money that is being made is not enough. The wages are not keeping up with the cost of living. So people are starting these side hustles not from joy. It doesn't come from joy. It doesn't come from simple pleasure. It comes from a need, a desperation. In fact, if you don't do this, you're surrounded by this entire culture of people. They're like, oh, I made $10,000 crocheting, or I make stickers they're being sold globally, whatever that may be. There's this societal pressure that continues to exist, that people feel that they have to monetize everything. And then there is creator economy, this massive beast that became such a entity, an inescapable entity, something that is now again a part of our existence and our lives. And it's not small money, creator economy. It's like they estimate that it's about like $200 billion. And in fact, people are estimating that it will grow to $1 trillion over the next decade. $1 trillion. So it is no longer just creator economy. It's a whole ass business. Brands from all over the world, they put real money into creators, into these people to push their products. In fact, the advertisement spend by segment is growing fastest within the creator economy than any other advertising avenue, like, I don't know, press or digital media or whatever that may be. Think about it. Creator economy is this entity that now really forces everybody to create for money, to really be like, oh, it's a business. This is a business. This is a business. And hobbies take the step back. Hobbies become an afterthought. Hobbies no longer bring pleasure because of this, because you're constantly under this pressure to deliver against whatever the metric. When there's an entire billion or $1 trillion system that is created and is designed to monetize your free time, it's not surprising that your brain is like, well, I no longer see this as enjoyment. It's not surprising. The psychology of it all is very simple, and it goes into something that is called overjustification. Basically, if you are doing something that you already enjoy doing, like painting, making music, crocheting, whatever that may be, and the moment you add these limitations, your internal enjoyment just drops because it's no longer an activity that allows you to fail. You no longer allow yourself to fail. You no longer allow yourself to play and explore because you're like, well, I need to make money off of it, right? And this over justification psychological thing is fascinating to me because once you realize that that's exactly what's happening, you can maybe, just maybe, flip it on its head. That leads me to this thing called self-determination theory. It says that humans, to achieve something, need three psychological things: autonomy, competence, and relatability. Essentially, you need to have your own space, your own full and total freedom to do what you want. You're maybe starting out, you're maybe an expert, whatever that may be, but a level of competence is needed. And you need to have that relatability, the ability to connect and be like, wow, what I'm making makes sense to others. It makes me feel like I belong. It makes me feel like I am connected. And when your hobby becomes content, your autonomy drops because now it's the algorithm that decides what you create, right? You are not creating for your own self. You're creating because algorithm tells you that X, Y, and Z seems to be popular. You no longer have an open channel with yourself being like, yeah, I get to create something truly unique and amazing because I felt like it. Instead, people are like, what are the trends? What are the trends? How do I copy this? How do I do that? Crazy. And then there's procrastination, something that I've touched on in an earlier episode. But when you add procrastination, this constant, I have to hit a metric, you create, well, not you, but the world and the psychology of it all. And it creates this massive limitation where your brain is like, oh, well, I guess I'm not even gonna start. Because a brain is gonna feel like, oh, I'm not good at something. I'm gonna slow down. I'm not gonna hit the metrics, yada yada. So it's not worth starting something. It's not worth trying and failing. And the beauty of play, the beauty of hobbies is exactly about the journey. It's exactly about trial and error. This beautiful part of everyone's experience that creates your identity in a way, right? It creates this core, right? Like, imagine if you knew everything from the start. Imagine if you could just pick up whatever and be great at it at all times from the start. That will be boring because you don't get to really explore. Imagine if people didn't have to sail through oceans to explore the worlds. Imagine if people were just could teleport. Yes, you have access to everything, but you don't have that character that was built and developed and forged through the experiences of play, of hobbies, and therefore trial and error and failures. We also have to say the quiet part out loud. Who gets to have these quote unquote useless hobbies, right? Who gets to do whatever they want, etc. And the thing is, it is classist, very much so. Like I said earlier, people in lower income groups do not have the time or the means to really play and explore and do whatever it is that they want, like read a book or paint or whatever. And people that are in much higher income groups, they get to do that. Like, if you are under financial pressure, you're not gonna spend hours crocheting or writing a book or making music. You are gonna be stressed out. You're gonna be trying to find other ways to make money because what it is on the table right now is not enough. While looking at social media, where you see all these other creators that are rich and have everything they've ever wanted by creating what they wanted, it's extremely difficult to find time, and especially because there's like huge social pressure that does not let people explore themselves. So the commodification of creativity does not hit everyone the same. For some people, a hobby is self-care, and for others, it's a missed shift, a missed dinner, a missed opportunity to feel more secure. Think about that, right? How hobbies have become essentially this expensive experience. Heck, I have to admit, me doing this is a hobby and I have time for it, right? So I'm aware of the fact that I am likely to be, maybe a high income earner that allowed me to have this hobby and have this time and be like, wow, I'm gonna sit down and talk about whatever, whereas majority of the people unfortunately don't have that. So how do we get hobbies back? How do we get the sensation of joy back? How do we get back on track with our own, dare I say, inner child who is always curious and wants to explore and create something? And I think there are a few ways you can do it. Well, first, you can pick a hobby that will not have any sort of a monetization mindset to it. It can be anything. It can be anything. Like in my case, it's painting. I know I paint absolutely terribly, and none of the things that I've painted will ever be in any of the galleries because who gives a fuck? But I paint because I'm like, it's just for me. It's a form of therapy. It's a form of reconnection with my own self. It's a form of being like, yeah, I'm gonna explore myself, and it's not for you. It's for me. Really, really settle this in your brain and be like, perfectionism is non existent. Non existent, literally non existent. And really be like, it's okay not to be perfect. Because even, um, I think it was in South American culture, somewhere in South America, where I read that in their culture, whatever you create has to be imperfect because it protects from evil spirits and things of that nature. And in fact, people would really, like, let's say they would create something so beautifully and so stunningly perfect, they would still add a dent or whatever that may be because perfectionism is not possible. Quite literally, it's not possible, right? So stop running after that. Stop running at all. Stop running. No one's asking you to rush. No one's asking you to run. Sit with your creativity and create it however it is going to show up and turn out. Because whatever you create needs to be created in whichever shape. Try to separate your content time or your work time from your hobby time. Define exactly what a hobby is for you. Open your calendar. Figure out when do you have even just 10 minutes of your time that is just for you? 10 minutes. You don't need more than that. And in that 10 minutes, you could read a book, you could start a project, you could start whatever. And that could take as long as it needs to. You don't have to finish a project in those 10 minutes, you don't have to complete anything. All you have to do is just take these little steps for your own enjoyment. Because, as I said, it is therapy. A hobby is something that allows you and really forces you to explore yourself and be like, wow, I like this, or wow, I don't like this. And use procrastination as a diagnostic. Procrastination, just like boredom, is a feeling, it's an emotion that lives in you, and we all have it. The key to success here is to recognize that you have it, right? And recognize it in the moment. The moment it hits you, that you're like, oh, I'm procrastinating. Don't let it go. Don't be like, oh, I'm gonna procrastinate further. Be like, oh, wait, I feel like I'm procrastinating. Why do I feel like I'm procrastinating? Why do I feel bored? Reconnect with that feeling. Answer these questions for you. And once you do, you clear the air and it gets easier to pick up something. Like, look, I'm trying to learn a guitar and I've been trying to do so for a while now, and I'm so bad at it. I don't care. I play for myself. Like with painting, I do it for myself, right? 10 minutes a day. So to wrap it up, hobbies, they're kind of dying as a societal concept because, no one really talks about it, right? But it doesn't have to die with you, so to speak. A hobby can be anything that you can insert, and you do not, under any circumstances, have to monetize it. Not everything you do needs to be sold. Not everything you create needs to be on display. Not everything needs to be publicized. You know, once you shed that, once you shed that feeling and pressure, you get more comfortable with yourself. You get more comfortable with making mistakes. And who knows where is this journey going to take you? You never know. As long as you just having fun. And like I said, open your calendar. Really find a way to assess your schedule. Really find a way to assess your abilities and allow yourself to mess it up. 10 minutes a day. If you have more time, have more time. If you don't, find more time. It can be challenging, but challenging does not mean impossible. So, maybe you could go fishing. Maybe you could go clean up a park. Maybe you could go, I don't know, whatever that may be. Whatever tickles you, so to speak, go ahead and do it. Just for you, just for fun, and not for me, not for anyone else, just for you. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.